Hi Dr. Ostendor, I hope you're excited to watch this video and as excited as I am to make it because it means that my Strand project is officially done. So let's get started. So on my cover page I explain or show my national standard, which is Geometry 3.G, and my Virginia Standard of Learning, which is 3.12. I start by showing my standards and my framework. So my standard is highlighted. And my standard is the student will define polygon, identify and name polygons with 10 or fewer sides, and combine and subdivide polygons with 3 or 4 sides and name the resulting polygon. This is my concept map. So this is the whole standard, and these are all the things that the students will be able to do by the end of the lesson, and these are all the things that they will know. Here's my unpacking of the standards. So this is 3.12a, 3.12b, and 3.12c. Next I have my note-taking. I decided to go with a graphic organizer because I think it's a good way to assist teaching the lesson about polygons so that students can take notes while they're learning. I also think that graphic organizers are good for 3rd grade because it allows them to be somewhat independent in taking their notes and following along with the teacher, but it also only requires minimal writing, so they're able to keep up pretty well throughout the lesson independently. And by completing this graphic organizer, students will be able to advance forward in their understanding of this lesson, which is polygons. This graphic organizer is designed to be used during the middle of a lesson because they will already have the basic definitions memorized of all of the polygons. So this is the first page of it. It's double-sided, but you can't see the other side yet. You'll see it on the next page. And so basically on the 2 lines, they would fill in the name of the polygon on this one. So it would say I am a, and then whatever it is, and then followed by I have, and then how many sides. And I do want them to include the word sides so that it really gets that in their head of I am a triangle and I have 3 sides. And after they finish the notes, they are allowed to color the page. So this is my student sample. So as you can see, it would say I am a quadrilateral and I have 4 sides, and so on and so forth throughout. And it goes the whole way through decagon, which is 10 sides. Next is my folder game, which I already have out just for the sake of the video. And the materials included obviously are the folder game, the game pieces, which are in a baggie, the directions, and then an answer key. So for my folder game, the students will participate in a remediation game to continue their learning about polygons. And my folder game would be used towards the middle or the end of a lesson so that students who are struggling can start to gain an understanding, and so that students who are tracking are able to continue their learning and reinforce what they do already know. This game I would also use during centers so that the teacher can kind of control which students are playing together, and they can modify the rules and regulations if they need to based on who's playing at what time and who needs more help compared to who doesn't. So this is my game. The pieces will be attached with this, but for the sake of my video, I already have it kind of set up. So on the inside of the folder, I have my directions. So it's for 2 to 4 players. The first player rolls the dice, and then they move as many spaces as they roll. And if they can name that polygon and how many sides it has, they stay on that space. If they answer either of the parts of the question incorrectly, they go back to the place where they first started. And I also included an answer key since it is remediation, along with an example and the name of each polygon that they should know. So this is the game board. So they will start down here, and like I said, if they roll a 3, they would move this many spaces. And if they get this correct, if they can name the polygon and how many sides it has, they stay here. And if they would happen to get either part incorrect, they would move back to this space because this is where they were at the beginning of their turn. So the first person to get to the end wins. And in my bag I have 4 pieces, the dice, and then a piece of paper that tells them they are able to reference the inside of the folder for the directions and an answer key. So next I have my tiered activities. So in this activity, the activities are generally similar between the 3 tiers. However, they are modified for the groups of students based on their ability. And this is based on the standard of learning, which is listed here, and it's been listed before. And I would have this take place in the middle of the lesson so that students already have learned the vocabulary. They also are provided with a key vocabulary list, which will allow them to use that throughout their lesson and homework so that they could use that for this as well. And it has words such as decagon, polygon, combine, subdivide, side, and shape. And I would also have this take place during stations or centers so that the teacher can meet with each group, which is below grade level, on grade level, and above grade level, so that she or he could kind of be in charge of what they are doing and see how well they're doing with each thing. So for below grade level, I would have the teacher give them specific foam pieces, like the tangram pieces, kind of like this, to give them a whole pile of them, and then the teacher would give them what examples they need to create. So in each activity for below grade level, on grade level, and above grade level, they're given a certain amount of pieces, and then they have to either create a new polygon with the shapes they're given or subdivide. So for below grade level, the examples are already written out for them, and the teacher would be there to kind of help them. So the first example is given 6 triangles, create a hexagon. So the teacher would give each student 6 triangles, and they have to create a hexagon out of that. And so on and so forth with these examples. For on grade level, the students who are on grade level, they'll be given a handful of shapes, not necessarily if they need 6 triangles to create a hexagon, will they be given 6 triangles right in front of them. And they will have to create 5 examples of their own. They won't be told which ones to do. And each polygon has to be a combination of 2 or more shapes. And then out of their 5 examples, at least 3 of them need to be combinations of polygons, and the other 2 can be subdivided. And then each student will be asked to share an example at least one time. And then above grade level, the students will be asked to create 6 examples using at least 2 shapes in each polygon that they create. And they will also be timed, given 3 minutes to create each example. This way it's a little bit more challenging, not to rush them, but it creates a little bit more of a game-like atmosphere for them. And out of the 6 examples that they create, 3 of them must be combined with 2 or more shapes, and 3 of them must be subdivided. And then these pictures are kind of the tangram foam polygon pieces that I would have to give them. And I also referenced a couple of these for the examples that I used over here. For my integrated activities, which starts here, I have the set, which basically I just said that it's important to integrate activities between different subjects so that students have more than one chance to grasp all the concepts at one time, more than one subject. So for science, the SOL I chose was 3.9. The student will investigate and understand the water cycle and its relationship to life on Earth. Key concepts include the water cycle involves several processes. So within the science activity, the students will already know about evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection, because this will be at the middle or end of the lesson. So this activity isn't necessarily to teach new material, but more so to reinforce what they already know in their science. So what I would do for this science activity, which I'll show in 1 minute, will be that they will see a picture of the water cycle, and they will have to identify the four stages of the water cycle: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. And then they will also have to label what polygon each stage of the water cycle is located in. For my social science SOL, I chose 3.6, which is the student will develop map skills by using globes and maps to locate and describe major rivers, mountain ranges, and other geographic features of North America. So for social science activity, they would be given a map of North America, which I would have laminated. That way they could use dry erase markers, and they would label the major rivers, mountain ranges, and other geographic features using polygons. So for example, the mountain ranges would be triangles. So the mountain ranges, rivers, oceans, and everything they need to know are listed here, the ones that they would have to label, as well as they would have to choose one other geographic feature of their choice from North America and label it as well. And they are able to do this with a partner. After they do this, they will also be given a map where they are able to color it, and it is already labeled for them. And then for the science one, they'd be given this paper first, which will be stapled to the other one, and it has their directions on it and then their word bank. So as you can see, there's 4 different polygons as well as the 4 different stages of the water cycle. And then they would be given this paper. So up here they would put their name, and then this is the sun created out of an octagon and triangles. And then these are clouds created out of decagons. Here we have precipitation out of triangles. So on the blue lines, they would write what stage of the water cycle it is. So here we would have collection, and so on and so forth. And then on the orange lines, they would include what polygon it is. For my lesson plan, I include my resources, including the book If You Were a Polygon. Here I have my key vocabulary, which is listed throughout here as well. And then I also have this paper printed out for them that I would give to each student so that they're able to use this throughout their assignments and homework throughout this lesson. As well as in my instruction, I would have a poster printed out of each of the polygons that we're going over, which are also included in this one. Here's the triangle, and the rest of them are included in here. Here's the book that I'm going to use, which is If You Were a Polygon, as well as the paper that I would use throughout the instruction, which would be they have to draw each polygon, including the sides. In my independent practice, they would practice by using Math Playground, and the assignment that I had found on there is that it would really focus on part C of the SOL, and their goal for independent practice is to complete 10 of the questions. And then for the assessment, the summative assessment, I created a Kahoot. Their goal is to get at least 7 out of the 8 questions correct. Here is a small version of the Kahoot, and then here are all of the questions included in here. My big idea is that today I will be able to combine and or subdivide polygons and name the resulting polygon so that I will be successful in geometry and future math classes. And I know you've got it when you answer 8 out of 10 questions correct on your math tangrams. And then my assessments. I have one formative assessment being an exit ticket and the second formative assessment being a think, pair, share. And my summative assessment would be a final unit test, which includes multiple choice, true or false, and fill in the blank questions. I also noted that the teacher will always be available for the students throughout each of these assessments to answer questions and be there for encouragement to each student. My exit ticket, I include instructions, which just says answer each question in its entirety and then hand it in. So this would really help the teacher to see how much of the lesson they're really understanding, and it's a quick and simple exit ticket for them to complete. For the think, pair, share, they would answer these 3 questions individually, and then they would be partnered up with another peer, and they would talk about the answers that they gave, and then we would share all together in class. And this is the final unit test. So it starts out with multiple choice, 3 multiple choice questions with choosing which polygon each of these depict. It then goes to true and false, where they'll circle the correct answer and then fill in the blank. And then here are my references.